chance to share ways that your student council is showing spirit and service along with building community. Each cycle, 5th and 6th grade students come together in a student council meeting. It's there that we follow an agenda, brainstorm ideas, and learn how we can continue to help in the school. You'd all be amazed at the terrific ideas we have for our school. We're learning that if everyone does a little, it will pay off for others, a lot. We appreciate the chance to do work for people, the environment, and the town of Woodbridge. Thank you to Superintendent Gilbert, Mrs. Prisco, Mrs. Sherman, and all of the 4 advisors, Mrs. Widmeyer, Ms. Green, Mrs. Hegney, and Mrs. Negrizi, for your guidance and leadership. B-E-C-H-E-R, beat your owls, we'll go far, flap our wings up to the sky, service always takes us high, vision and community, we have spirit, can't you see? Wow!
A lot of the activities that you do, but it's great to hear from you guys yourselves. So thank you to everybody. Thank you very much.
Do you have any questions for the student council members? I'm sure they'd be glad to answer questions, wouldn't you?
I had a quick question. When you say once a cycle you get together, what's a cycle?
So basically a cycle is every 6 days, 8 A through F day.
You get together.
And so every B day we gather in the rotunda and discuss our ideas.
Okay. I thought that was more often than you meant. Great. All right. Very good. Yeah, you guys do great. You must be all bakers. You guys love to bake. You guys, yeah. I hear about the bake sales. Very critical.
Most people probably know this, but I did feature the student council in my last parent update that went out just a few weeks ago. I was just overwhelmed when I stopped into one of their meetings one time. I just got blown away by how many activities they do, whether it's in the building, whether it's outside the building, out in the front, on half days, on conference days. It just amazed me. And so I felt that they really truly deserved, and we all really needed to know all the different things they're doing. So you brought it to life tonight, but certainly if you want to go back and read a little more about the great work they're doing, the last parent update certainly has a lot of details in that about that.
Okay, thank you very much. Stay for the rest of the meeting, but you don't have to stay.
So
we always give people that option.
And parents, we'd like to thank parents for being here tonight. Thank you, parents, for bringing them.
Yeah.
They did a great job. Thanks for rehearsing with them. I'm sure you did a little bit of that as well. And thank you again. You're welcome to stay, but you're also free to leave.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, should I get out there?
Okay, well, welcome everybody. It's a slow month, right? So you had nothing else to do tonight? Thank you everybody for being here tonight, and Board of Education members, of course, as well. Thank you for being here. Welcome, and this is to our annual Superintendent's Proposed Budget Presentation. I'll be talking about the FY 18-19 budget this evening, obviously, and appreciate you all being here. Just a couple of quick items to say, and that is first an appreciation to our staff members, our faculty members, for all of their submissions to the budget this year. The submissions that faculty and staff make obviously guide us in what we're going to consider. And a very big thank you to our administrative team, our business office, and our administrative staff for the collaboration and teamwork that has gone into making this budget a reality and to find ways to do more with dollars that are more limited. Tonight's presentation is really going to be more of a high-level summary. There's a budget book that we put out on Friday. It's online, and it has a lot of detail, a lot more detail than I'm going to present tonight, but this will be more of a high-level summary with some details. I think if we all think back to the summer, and we think back to the early fall, and we think about what was going on in the state of Connecticut with the budget, or lack of, I think one of the words to describe that might be dismal. It was a dismal picture. There's no doubt about it. The Education Cost Sharing Grant, ECS as it's called, seemed to be in disarray. Was there even going to be education cost sharing dollars coming to towns? Were towns going to have to fund teacher retirement costs? What was the landscape going to look like? It was really a very dismal picture. That went into the fall. Some changes did happen that began to brighten up things a little bit. A state budget was finally passed. The ECS grant did not completely go away, although more limited dollars were provided to towns like Woodbridge. Teacher retirement costs were not passed on to the towns, which was also a good thing. And we also had some unexpected local changes that happened right here. We had some unexpected healthcare changes that helped us to put things in a more positive light. A number of staff members make changes each year in terms of what kind of plan they're going to have, whether it's family, two-person, whatever. Enough changes in that kind of a census accounting helped us along the way as well. So a very dismal picture in the summer became a little bit better, but still very tight, and lots of challenges for us to try to do everything we need to do for kids and a growing enrollment, but still trying to be sensitive to what the guidance from the town was for us. So we took a real close look. We've done some things differently this year. We've looked at different ways to create money, revenue streams, shared services, and just new innovative ways to look at economics in our budget. So with that in mind, it's important, I think, to realize that budgets should reflect what the mission and vision and beliefs of the school district are. As you know, we recrafted our mission and vision last year. There they are. It's guiding what we're doing in our school. And we also recrafted our beliefs. Beliefs are our values. What do we stand for? What do we value here at Beecher Road School? High standards, expectations, educating the whole child are amongst those. Obviously the integration and use of technology, and also having a sense of fiscal accountability. So what does it all boil down to? What do we really believe in? What do we really value here? We really value the individual child. We really think about what do we do for that individual child in the classroom, not the group, but the child. We think about that from a perspective of class size. I can do more for that individual child with a class size that is a really just right. We think about the comprehensive program we offer. It's not just about academics. It's about the arts. It's about the sciences. It's about the languages. It's about library media and phys ed and health and all those things put together. We think about the high expectations that guides all of that. And we also think about, obviously, the staffing necessary to make that happen for the individual child. Another key component to supporting that mission and vision and beliefs is the strategic plan that we put forward. We have 5 main goals in our strategic plan, and it's all about 21st century academics and skills, personalized learning, professional learning for everybody in the organization, partnerships, community and diversity, and maximizing efficiencies. These are important areas that we're moving forward on, and we want a budget that moves it forward as opposed to staying in the same place. So it's no surprise to any of you, we still continue to have 2 very important guiding principles for our budget development, which we use this year again as well. Improving the quality of education for all of our students, supporting the educational mission, vision, and goals, and of course developing a budget that does respect the taxpayer. The budget that ended up coming to me initially was over 4%, higher than the expectations and guidance that was given to us. We've taken a look at a lot of ways to move that percent down to an area that I think everybody can believe that works and that also does not get in the way of the education of our individual child. So the main drivers of our budget this year, some of them are no secret or no surprise: enrollment growth. The second one is increasing special education student needs. The third, what is our strategic plan, goals, and initiatives, and how is that moving us forward? And then finally, what are the budget efficiencies, shared services, and new revenues that will help us make this whole thing work out? So that first main driver is enrollment growth. We know, we've already heard, most districts are declining in enrollment. Most schools are declining in enrollment. We are really the exception. We are up almost 8% in student population from October 1st, 16 to October 1st, 17. We're up 31 more students than originally projected for this school year. And so that's why part of this budget is adding one classroom teacher. We have a bubble of students coming through in one grade. It's our current second grade, and that's only going to get to be a bigger group. And so we're going to add a third grade for next year in this budget that would allow us to bring the class sizes back within the guidelines that we like to use to benefit all of our kids. This next slide really does tell a story. It tells a story about what are the projections and what are the actual enrollments that we have. Around 2009, 2010, you'll see that things started to pivot, but in red are the projections that our demographer has given us, and in blue, what are the actual numbers that were there on October 1st when we take our typical state census counting of all the students in the building. So as you can see, from 2009 to 2010, up through the present, every year, our actual number of students on October 1st has exceeded the projections. And if you take a look at last year, for instance, it tells another story. 2016-17, 757 projected, 781 students actually here on October 1st. But how many were here on the last day of school? 799. So during the course of the year, the numbers go up. So now, we had this year anticipated of 811. That was our projection. 842 are right now an accounting of. What will that number go up to this year? So an enrollment that continually is moving forward. It's unusual in the state of Connecticut. It says a lot about what people think about this school, about this town, about the people who service our kids, the people who are in this room, the Board of Ed's commitment. It says a lot about the teachers, staff, and the support that our town gives. This next slide really gives some detail about what does this year look like, 2017-18 in the top left quadrant, and then what are we projecting out for each of the years. And I don't think I'm not sure we really can tell what's going to happen beyond maybe even next year. Even next year is probably a little bit in the dark. We know our class size guidelines range for K-3 from 17 to 19. Our guidelines for grades 4 through 6 are 19 to 21. So next year, with an addition of a third grade teacher, as you can see in the 18-19 quadrant, right in the middle top there, you'll see there's an extra third grade there. It allows us to bring those second grade classes up today to third grade, more manageable and within our guidelines. And closer to compliance, obviously, across the board with all of our classes. So the first main driver is our enrollment. The second main driver that we have for this budget is increasing special education student needs. In 2015-16, we had 10% of our student population identified with special needs. Last year, 11% was identified. This year, 12% of our population is identified with special needs. And that's 12% of a growing number, as you can see from the previous charts. We also have an increased number of 3- and 4-year-old children with identified mandated services. So all this means an area that we need to service and take care of. So this budget adds an additional 0.5 half-time preschool teacher. With adding that position, it allows us to return a special education teacher who is currently stepped out of her role half-day to take care of pre-K right now, to let that teacher go back into the classroom to service regular classrooms in other grades. This budget also repurposes one of our teaching assistants. It doesn't eliminate the position, it repurposes it, making it from a regular education to a special education teacher assistant, allowing that person to work with special needs and the students with special needs. And last but not least, as always, each year the administration takes a look at all the different needs, and we sometimes reprioritize some of our staff roles and responsibilities, and we'll of course take a look at that as well as we move towards the end of this year into next year. So the second main driver again is increasing special education student needs. This next slide expands a little bit our thinking here. As a goal, we do everything possible to keep our students here educated in the local neighborhood school, Beecher Road School. Sometimes students need things or have requirements that we just cannot fulfill here. And when that happens on a very limited basis, we sometimes have to find places for those students to be educated outside of Beecher Road School. And so that's all about outplacement costs. And you can see through the years, the actuals in blue and projected for this year and next year, you can see the rising costs that we've experienced. The current year right now, 2018, $996,290. Actually, $160,000 of that, approximately 160, is unanticipated special education costs. When we were doing the budget at this time last year, those costs were not known to us, and those costs have, happened since the budget last year was crafted, and that's why it's unanticipated. So that 996 was more like 830 before that. We are looking at next year and looking at the need to go to $933,000 and 582 to service the students that we know need those kinds of services that are very important to them. Our third main driver of the budget is the support of our strategic plan goals and initiatives. We want to make sure that this budget has the right staffing and the right resources to keep us moving forward. The 5 goals that we have in our strategic plan, these are just some examples of how we're able to continue to support those goals. School year and summer curriculum development, we're level funding that, so we're maintaining those kinds of funds. Second goal, we're going to be renaming our science teacher position into a STEAM teacher, which really reflects a lot of the current work that teacher's doing, and it also expands the innovation aspects to that position. The budget will allow, in goal number 2, for us to continue to use our current staff to support a lot of our personalized learning initiatives like project-based learning, clusters, capstone projects, and school enrichment model. In goal 3, we're going to be able to maintain our core professional development budget, which obviously supports our professional learning community model. In goal 4, we've already started to embark on partnerships and shared services, which certainly has a lot of overtones to community initiatives, and then we have a great community diversity committee that has started as well, so that's another initiative that comes under goal 4. And last but not least, maximizing efficiencies of our systems and resources, the way we use our staff, and the way we have looked at trying to make economies to scale, such as our technology support and other areas. Our last main driver of the budget this year is the budget efficiencies, shared services, and new revenues that we've taken a look at in order to make it all work. As I mentioned earlier, the budget that came to me was over 4%. We've taken a look at the models that Hartford has really asked us to look at, sharing services between school districts, sharing services between school and town, whatever it might be. How do we share services to have economies at scale? How do we generate new revenues? And what we've done for next year in this particular recommendation is a level of sharing and revenues that we feel is the right point for us at this point in time. That it may go in other directions in the future, but right now we've struck a really good balance. You'll see all the different savings that it has allowed us to bring 4% down to where we are now. Being more efficient with our technology support services, sharing services in 2 different ways with Amity, or out-of-district transportation for savings of $50,000, partnering with Amity for our Power School support, that's our student information system. This is a great one where we're actually going to save money, almost $4,000, but we're also going to add at the same time 8 days of training and support, which we really greatly need. We'll be reorganizing our facilities and custodial staff with some staff changes and reorganization and an elimination of a 0.5 position. We'll save $42,000. And we have some other savings with Columbia Professional Development being reduced by $3,000. Retirement incentives have saved us money. And then we have some new areas of revenue, shared services for our SRO in the summer, and as well revenue for preschool parents of the non-mandated students. So these are some of the efficiencies that are allowing us to move our 4% down to the area where we feel that we're going to be following the guidance that has been provided to us. So overall, what does this budget do for our students? It actually maintains all of our current certified staffing and programs. It actually adds 1.5 full-time equivalent certified staff positions, 1.0 classroom teacher and the 0.5 preschool teacher for enrollment and student needs. It addresses our out-of-district costs. It includes the technology replacement equipment that we need. It supports our strategic plan goals and initiatives, and it utilizes new cost efficiencies, shared services, and revenue streams. maybe most importantly, it keeps us moving forward and it keeps our students moving forward, which is a really important thing in the midst of economic hard times. What's not in this budget? There are a few things, and if you go to the budget book, you'll find some more details. Things like a curriculum director position, which we still would like to have and has been thought about for many years, that's still not in the budget. Adding the string program to our music program, that's still not in our budget either. Those are things that we hope in another day, they may become a reality. So with these four main drivers, and what the reality really is for next year, I'm coming to the Board of Education tonight with a proposal of $14,722,785, which is an increase of 2.64 over our current budget. This is broken into two different areas. An increase of 1.94% for our current programs and staff within this building, and an increase of 0.70% for our out-of-district increased costs, all for a total of 2.64%. So what's the summary of the actual increases for those two areas? In the first, in that second column from the left, Beecher Road School current programs and staff, you'll see that the main driver for the increases are the net of contractual increases for salary and benefits. It does take into account the retirements, the hires, and staff, any staff reductions. So salaries and benefits are the main driver. If they take a look further down, furniture equipment, that's really the technology is the main driver. And then there's a lot of areas in red that helped us to offset that. Our added district increase of 0.70% is, no surprise, made up of increases in the transportation and tuition areas. So how does 2.64 stack up against the past 10 years? So the historical budget increases that we've had from 2009 until now have ranged from 0% in 2014 to as much as 4.21% in 2009. Last year's 4.17% wasn't far behind that, and I would say that that's just a testament to the support that our town gives us. Not every town, very few towns would give that kind of support. Did we need the support last year? We absolutely did. We made a strong case for that, and that's why I think the town came to our assistance on that. It was probably the highest increase that is recorded in the state last year, and we thank the state, we thank the town for their partnership in that. And I think, as we know, there's been a good partnership that has gone on in the past between the school district and the town. As partners, we look at being fiscally responsible back and forth. This chart tells another story. What's happened over the last 8 years? The school district has returned over $600,000 to the town when surpluses did exist at the end of the year. During that same 8 years, the state has reimbursed the town almost $600,000 in excess special education costs. And then occasionally, when we have a shortfall, we need to go back to the town for an extra appropriation, and the town has assisted us during those 8 years with $114,000 when those funds were needed. So where does the money go? It goes to the same place it went last year. Schools are professionally labor intensive. 77% of the budget goes to salaries and benefits. There's a lot of people working here to give a lot of individual important attention to our kids. All the other areas have their own totals. They're all less than 5% each, but salaries and benefits are always the overriding factor in any school district. So in summary, what does this budget do? This budget means to ensure that we have continued success for our students. If you look in the budget book, you'll see a long list, 2 pages long, of accolades, accomplishments, amazing things that our students have done, our teachers have done, our district has done. This page just tries to capture just the essence of that. We want to make sure that this budget ensures continued success for our students. Our kids achieve at the top of the state. They're always in the very top 10%, if not higher, in math, language arts, and science standardized assessments. We want to make sure that we continue to have our students have the ability to be recognized for great accomplishments. We have a great robotics team, Continental Math League, band, the Flame Challenge. Those are all areas that our students have been recognized. We want to make sure that this budget, in its present state, is able to support that. Our educators, our teachers, our leaders, we regularly have people come and visit to see what workshop looks like, to see us model that for them. We've had educators come from New Hampshire last year to visit the multi-age program on multiple days to take a look at what we're doing. We have a caring community. Have embedded activities. You heard about student council tonight. They do amazing things within the school and outside of the school. They're a wonderful arm of the school to reach out and be great ambassadors here in Woodbridge. And within our school, we have our cares assemblies and other ways that we show ourselves as a caring community. We have unique opportunities such as our pool, our STEAM/science lab, great parental and town support, and a new strategic plan and roadmap to keep us moving forward. So with all that in mind, to make sure that that all continues, I'm asking the Board of Education's support in my proposal tonight of $14,722,785, an increase of 2.64% over the current budget. And I'll take any questions that you might have.
Bob, I just want to thank you. Wow, that's really well. Thank you for that great presentation. You've done a lot of hard work. I know we've discussed it at several meetings. Thanks to Al for all of your input as well. And I will make a motion that we approve the 2018-19 budget as presented by the administration for submission to the Boards of Selectmen and Finance.
Second? Okay. And I just wanted to say as well, when you started, things did not look good for a long time. We had a lot of things that looked like they were going the wrong way. And all of the things that you mentioned that turned around, and then all of the savings that you've developed and worked towards without affecting, the impact on students, the shared, some of the shared services and things. It's incredible where we ended up, and I just want to mirror what Steve said. It's fantastic. Thank you to Al, thank you to Bob, thank you to everybody, who had input into the budget, because I think this is amazing compared to where, I thought I'd be. Is there any questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Oops.
Oh, I'm sorry,
No,
Claire.
that's okay. I just had one quick question, just to make sure that the views of the WEA that were expressed before. I was just curious. There was reference to making sure we match needs versus percentages, and I wondered if there were any specifics there that that you could reveal to us, or if there was any conversation. Are there specific concerns that the WEA had that were then addressed in this budget process?
I can't speak for the WEA, but I think what I could say is that I think that they were also aware of the dismal situation that started the year off, and I think that this is a budget that we really haven't shared a lot of this, because we were working on this until last week, really trying to figure out how to make it all work. So it's not something that I've been sharing with anybody except maybe my good friend over here to my right, and my administrative team. But I think what the WEA was trying to capture in the letter, if I could just surmise, and that is that they were concerned based upon the dismal dark cloud that was coming over the economy of Connecticut and what that might have meant for us, not knowing exactly what I was going to be presenting.
Without seeing us.
Yeah.
Okay, was there anything else looking around? Okay, all those in favor? Okay. All those, okay, that was everybody, right? Okay, great.
Good.
Good. That might have gone quicker than we thought. Okay. All right, are we done with the superintendent's report?
We are done with, you don't want to hear me again, I don't think, at this point.
Yeah.
But we
Oh,
have
Gina,
Mrs.
I'm so
Driscoll.
sorry. I do this every time. Gina.
Totally okay, Margaret.
GRS update, Gina. Okay. Putting your name by
Always in
that
the
one.
same spot.
Marsha.
So good evening, everybody. I just want to say at this busy time of year that there have been lots and lots of families and performances and gatherings and celebrations that have been happening. So just a thank you, because I know what it takes to make sure that you make time in your schedule to come and see your children. And as wonderful as it is, it can be hectic at this time of year. We've gathered a list of all of the activities that are going on and all of the visitors that will be in the building. So a little plug for the North Office staff, because there's a revolving door at the moment. But thank you, because the children have worked really hard. The staff has worked very hard to make sure that those songs are just right, or the lines have been practiced. So, and the children are just so proud. So we thank you for all of that support. So the children have also extended their learning with some off-campus and in-campus or on-campus enrichment activities such as high-tech, high-touch, science. Today, and I'm going to get the title right, Dragons Love Tacos and Other Short Stories was the play that our first graders attended at Southern Connecticut State University. So as they read different short stories and then they get to see it enacted. But our teachers have also been continuing their learning. As you know, we work with our Columbia consultants, and just recently both of our consultants were here this month, even in this busy time, and we had some staff members out at Columbia today, both 5th and 6th graders. We'll continue our work with our ACES math consultant next month. That work goes on. And the day before Thanksgiving, as the children were all off for the holiday, we had some learning here. And we split the day in half. We began a conversation about a difficult topic, implicit bias. But we ended the day with a continued conversation around math workshop and a field trip. So something that teachers don't often get to do outside of their grade level or their content is to go and look at other classrooms and then have an opportunity to have a conversation with those teachers, of which we followed up not only later on that day, but at another faculty meeting about things that they saw, things they would like to try, even around the organization of how they might set up their classroom. So we look for more opportunities for teachers to learn from each other. I have a few thank yous, the Student Council and their advisors, of course. The foundations that are being laid for these children for a lifetime of service are immeasurable, so we absolutely thank them. PTO is not here represented this evening, but the recent success of our book fair was amazing, and I think by far everyone that went through said the selection of books this year was the best. And that's really because of the continual support of the families for our book fair. So the more we support it, the better the quality of the book, and this year was absolutely great, and we had our family night, was probably one of the most well attended. I also want to thank the PTO volunteers for our Friday night socials. We have just completed the K1, 2, 3, and our multi-age students go to their age-appropriate pier for that evening. So very organized, little bit of a craft, a little pizza, some very organized activities in the North Gym, and then top the night off with some ice cream and send them home to you. So thank you for the PTO for that. And the next topic stems around a little generosity. Through your generous donations and through the volunteers' gift of time, we were able to provide families with Thanksgiving baskets this year, as we have. And this year, in addition to the basket, through the support of the Woodbridge Rotary, our children went home with warm winter jackets that were needed with those Thanksgiving baskets. So office staff, Lynn, Lola, Judy, can't thank them enough. Our student council helped to deliver the food to where it was ready to be organized, all the volunteers, and all of the community. Thank you for the generous donations. It was amazing. And my last item, it's hard to believe we're in the second term already. Report cards have all gone out, and we do meet as a report card committee, and we make continual revisions. Some of them may be minor, you might not even notice it, but we are always looking to make sure that we're improving that communication to parents and make sure that they really have a clear understanding of where their children are. So that's my update. Wishing you all a great holiday season and peace and joy in the new year.
Thank you.
Anything for me?
Does anybody have any questions for Gina?
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, facilities, a quick update.
Yep, we met this evening and were given a presentation by the recently formed Sustainability Committee with the town. And they presented us specifically with some ideas on doing a pilot project in handling of food waste and food recycling within the cafeteria. We'll be looking into that moving forward, and perhaps looking into that with some of the other committees. Aside from that, we discussed our grounds tour a little bit more and reviewed a letter inviting the Board of Selectmen as well as Finance Committee to join us on a tour of the grounds at some point to be determined in the near future. And that was it.
Great. Anything else from finance? Yeah, got the details. I think we did. Okay. Curriculum?
Curriculum met on December 7th, and we had a report from Kathy Salinardi was there, reporting on the extended day program. We had an opportunity to discuss the programming that's currently being offered and discuss the possibility of having some other offerings sponsored by which are currently being sponsored by the district, be sponsored by the extended day program, so we're exploring that. And we talked about upcoming meeting presentations, so our January meeting will focus on the social emotional curriculum, part 1. February will be social emotional curriculum, part 2. We're going to discuss tag identification process in January and responsive classroom. And the rest of those meetings are listed in the minutes, so you can read those. And we're waiting for an update on the community lecture series.
Did you have anything you wanted to say about that? Right, thank you. Okay, policy committee. I don't think that there was anything since last month. There was a meeting. Okay. ACES, I was not able to attend the December meeting either, so I'm hoping to be at the January meeting, and then I'll have more of an update. CABE, Megan.
Lots of trainings coming up. Folks are interested. The Alliance District Roundtable is coming up January 17th. Current legal issues was rescheduled for January 24th. Hot topic of school start times, February 15th. We have our legislative breakfast coming up, and I'm realizing it's the wrong date here, but I believe it's this January 7th. I can double check for folks if you're interested in that.
That's a Sunday, isn't it?
So maybe it's
on the
the 6th
7th.
then.
Yeah.
I'll look it up. They have the wrong date here, so I'll have to look that up and see. So if anybody who's interested, it's the beginning of January. And NSBA Advocacy Institute is in February 4th through 6th. That's in DC. Policy highlights. There's some interesting articles, which obviously we can look at more in policy, but researchers consider effects of social media on students. This is focused more with teenagers, but it's good to kind of keep in mind for our young ones, conversations to have with them at an earlier age. But basically, how does social media affect teenagers? Researchers have found that social media can lead to negative influences, which is no surprise, such as increased drama and feelings of depression. But they're also coming up with some positive influences, talking about self-esteem, outlet for friendships, and they talked a little bit about family relationships when teens and parents both communicated. It was actually a way of bonding. So that's an interesting article. New requirements for children in foster care is another one. The Elementary and Secondary Education Act, as amended by the Every Student Succeeds Act, added important new provisions in Title J, Part A, Title I of the ESEA pertaining to educational stability for children in foster care. So there's more on that. Another one on observance of religious holidays in the public school. So if there's anything we want to go over that, we're just talking about being conscientious about different holidays and respect for different holidays, and then a whole other section on issues potentially with holiday season and gifts, just ethics of that piece. CABE Journal always has.
I'm sorry. No, okay. Sorry.
No worries. CABE Journal always has some interesting articles. Rob Rader wrote one on Connecticut does well overall, but achievement gap persists, specifically focusing on no surprise, education and poverty, particularly in students of color, so children of color. So that's an interesting article. Talks about the elected Cape president, visits to Thailand, the value of Cape. Some interesting articles. Oh, impediments to teen sleep, and talking about electronics and how that's a big factor in teens not getting enough sleep. And 12 tips of email avoiding electronic communication pitfalls. So there's always some interesting things in there. So.
I thought that one was excellent.
Yeah.
Actually, because that's been an issue for, that we've talked about. So I think that's a great one. If you haven't read it, you should read that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. All right, upcoming meetings. Our next meeting is also the mid-year review. So that's really, kind of the whole agenda, in terms of other than our routine activities. And then new business. We have 2 items.
I move that we.
What? Of course, yeah.
Yeah, before we
Bob's
do the
gonna-
motion.
Why don't you do the motion and then
Okay,
Bob's got
sure.
something to say about.
I move that we accept the retirement of Claire Kennedy effective February 1st, 2018.
Second.
You're
So
up.
I'd just like to, Claire's not with us tonight here, and neither are our 2 teacher retirees, but I do feel compelled. These are valuable leaders in our school and our district, and I just have a few things to say. So Claire Kennedy arrived in Woodbridge, as you may or may not know, in the 15-16 school year after an extensive career in West Hartford and Hartford. She is respected for her attitude and belief that decisions are to be made in the best interest of the child. How can you beat that? She has a strong work ethic, broad knowledge base, and a vast amount of experience that will not be easily replaced. She's a true, dedicated, child-centered education leader, and her retirement will be deeply felt by her administrative team colleagues as well as her teacher colleagues as well.
Thank you. All right, all those in favor? Okay, thank you. All right.
I move that we accept the retirements of Mary Sell and Karen Stevinger, both effective June 30th, 2018, with regret.
We need a second.
I'll second.
Okay.
So Mary Sell began her teaching career at Beecher Road School as a part-time tutor in the 92-93 school year under Superintendent Alex Warren. Who remembers Alex Warren? Raise your hand. Anybody?
Gary remembers.
Okay. Some of you were teachers, some of you were students, right, Claire?
Claire was, Gary and I were too young then, but Claire.
Okay. We're not asking anybody's ages, but it was a 92-93 school year. Mary became a full-time remedial language arts teacher in the 97-98 school year. Mary has worked exclusively with the intermediate grades with a primary focus in the grade 6 area and TAG. She is known for her natural rapport to engage students with a wide range of skill levels, to be successful and committed to a lifelong love of reading. We will miss her passion about her profession and her efforts to continually research ways to enhance learning and create a positive learning environment. Karen Stevinger, a former plant biologist, served as a teacher intern for the 91-92 school year and commenced teaching at Beecher Road School as a grade 5 teacher in 92-93. Karen provided a rich educational opportunity for all students, integrating technology, writing, research, art into a magical love of learning long before differentiation was the norm. She created an exemplary education environment for her students in that 5th grade, encompassing character education and citizenship. Karen went on to become the science coordinator in the 2005-2006 school year, and Karen has served extensively on various math and science committees, has been active on the WEA executive board, as well as numerous curriculum writing committees. We will miss her genuine enthusiasm and love of learning.
All those in favor? Thank you. Okay. I have still the public comment sheet, so I don't know if there can be
There's another public
comment. No, there can't be, nobody else has public comment, right?
No, you can ask.
Oh, any other public comment? All right. All right, so it's time to adjourn. We don't have an executive session.
Move adjournment.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you
Happy
very much.
holidays, everybody.
Yep.